Hello everyone and welcome to part 23 of my F1 Challenge career mode. Today we are going to Monaco for the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, a jewel in the calendar F1 and one that I got a victory at last year where there are only two finishers, me and Marc Genet in the Minardi. It could be another crazy race here, especially with the aggression on 100% now, but I'll now hand you over to the commentator.
Just before the free practice session begins, let's take a quick look at the Drivers' Championship. Mika Häkkinen is running away with the Drivers' Championship. Schumacher second. The McLaren driver third. Well, that covers the drivers. Let's take a quick look at the constructors next. McLaren lead the Constructors' Championship and arrive here with an unprecedented run of victories. Ferrari are second. Williams are third. Located within the urban setting of Monte Carlo, the claustrophobic Monaco street circuit is essentially a never-ending sea to canes with no margin for error. Whilst the jewel in Formula One's crown makes for a truly glamorous sponsor-friendly spectacle, it is very much an anachronism in today's safety-orientated era.
Right, so practice started off in monsoon conditions here at Monaco. The session was raining throughout, so it was a pretty useless session. I only did like 4 laps in the end, but this was my only flying lap, and you can see the treacherous conditions and how slow I'm going through the corners. 40 miles an hour through the last corner, when usually that'd be like an 80 mile an hour corner, but went across the line to a 1:36.7, which is a really poor time around Monaco, but it is monsoon conditions. But then in practice 3 it was dry, and we managed to actually get in a proper time and a proper run. We did quite a few laps in practice 3 and did a 23.5, which is our best of the session, but we then went and span and hit the wall. So that's the only thing just happened in practice. We move on to qualifying, where we're hoping that we can get another pole position here, because this is a really good chance, and it's a track which I think I got second or pole last season. I think it was second actually. But going around the final corner, let's see what time we can do. I think it's going to be in the 1:22s, and yes it is. Now I do improve later to a 21.9, but unfortunately I lost that clip somewhere. But going into the pits, this last thing which happened in qualifying, I get rammed by someone behind me, and I'll now hand you over to the grid.
Hello there. Welcome to Monte Carlo for round 7 of the 2000 FIA Formula One World Championship. The weather, as so often is the case here, is just wonderful. Over 30 degrees and climbing. It's a fantastic day for Formula One. The McLaren driver starts his race from first. Häkkinen looked a carbon copy of his teammate. He starts alongside in second. Michael Schumacher third. Barrichello failed to get anywhere near the pace of his championship rival, the McLaren driver. Schumacher fifth. Irvine sixth. Sarlo seventh. Button eighth. Ricardo Zonta ninth. Fisichella 10th. Jacques Villeneuve 11th. Trulli 12th. Heinz-Harald Frentzen 13th. Nick Heidfeld 14th. Herbert 15th. Mazzacane 16th. Pedro Diniz 17th. Alesi 18th. Alexander Wurz 19th. Verstappen 20th. Pedro de la Rosa 21st. Genet 22nd.
Right, so we start in pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix. Now this time I am not using launch controls. Apparently that's better, as we have the lights here at Monaco. And we are going. It's a pretty decent start. Best thing we get with launch control. Mika Häkkinen has gone past, and Michael Schumacher. We're down into third place, and Barrichello's looking round outside, and he's gotten us, but he has no rear wing. He's obviously hit the wall, and so we're going to pass him really easily down up the hill. That doesn't make any sense. Never mind. We're going to now hunt after Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen, who are in the lead, and I've decided to go for a medium strategy here, not heavy light, because I want to be more with the AI. to race them more than just carrying on by myself and then meeting them at the end. But I tried around the outside, and Michael Schumacher here got very close to actually passing Michael into the hairpin, so that's an interesting place. We may try that later on Michael, maybe on the next lap. But taking a look at the replay of the start, you can see that Mika Häkkinen got a very good start, and so did Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. But Rubens Barrichello went round the outside perfectly cleanly, but then just went straight into the wall and knocked off his rear wing. And of course, going up the hill, that was an easy pass for us, because he had to brake even for that little kink, and we just went into third place, and we then started hunting after Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen. But this race, I hope, will not turn out like the last one where there was only 2 finishers, because that was a pretty easy victory and one of the most boring last 10 laps I've ever done, because it was against a Minardi which was around 8 seconds slower than me. But moving on to lap 2, going into the first corner, and there appears to be a rear wing on the track, and Michael Schumacher's hit the exit of the first corner, and he's lost his rear wing, so that means he's out of the race, and we just about miss him. So that's very lucky there not to have a huge accident. But Michael Schumacher actually hit the wall, so that's really surprising there. He did that last season as well. But Mika Häkkinen and I am now in second place, so that's a 1-2 for McLaren on lap 2 again. Mika Häkkinen has hit the wall, and we may have an opportunity here. We had to brake because of him swerving across the track. We're going side by side into the back. He's got the inside line, but he's hit the wall and he's rolled the car. So that's a big accident there for Mika Häkkinen. And that's us up into first place pretty easy. But you see Mika Häkkinen hit the wall, had a moment. He didn't actually damage the car there, but then down into the back he decided to hit the wall, and then he rolled over the car. And that's a really big accident there for Mika Häkkinen. But moving on to lap 4, you can see that I'm actually lapping Ricardo Zonta, I think, of the BAR. And Eddie Irvine is currently in second place in the Jaguar. But coming out of the last corner, we've had a moment on the curb, and we've hit the wall. And that's going to mean that we're going to have to make an early pit stop. I don't think we can actually fuel to the end at this point, so this is going to be an interesting way to play out the race. We're going up the hill. I think the BAR is still going to move out of the way. Yes, he is. And we're going to go down the inside, but then we're going to catch air. We're going to pull a wheelie like we did in Austria. We've hit the wall, then we've hit the wall again, and that's our suspension actually broken. So we're now going to have to drive the rest of the race with broken suspension. So that's terrible news there, but we need to hope for the best. As you can see, I pulled a wheelie, I hit the wall, hit off my rear wing as well. But the suspension thing was a big thing, so I lost a lot of confidence in the brakes. We're coming in on lap 5 for the fix of my car. Now, I'm not going to show you the full pit stop because I understand it can be quite boring just watching me sitting in the pit lane. But you're going to watch the change of tyres. And Eddie Irvine actually takes the lead after his dismal year at Ferrari in 1999 in my season, obviously, because in real life he had a better one. He's moved to Jaguar, he seems to be better, and I actually nearly broke the pit speed limiter there. But I managed to turn it on just in time, so that's very lucky there. But Jack Villeneuve has passed us, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, so by lap 5, this race is already doing better than last year. Because last year, by the end of lap 2, we had 8 people left. We've got 28 laps worth of fuel on board, so that's a lot of laps. And we're now going to try and have a look at Heinz-Harald Frentzen maybe into the hairpin. He's gone very slowly, and this is a very clumsy accident there from me. But we still haven't got past Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and this bit is too close to get near him. But we may slipstream him down into the tunnel and get him down into the chicane. But here we go with the slipstream. Are we going to get him? He's quite far ahead. We're catching up a lot at the end especially. We're now going to try round the outside, are we? Yes, we are. And we've got him. Nice and clean. And if you're new to the series, that cut that I did there, all the AI do it. They always cut the corner, so I may as well just do what they're doing. But you can see that Heinz-Harald Frentzen actually hit the wall again and spun round. But moving on to lap 9, we are behind Jack Villeneuve, and you can see how much it's crabbing. But I realised that I'm probably the fastest car on track with both Ferraris and Mika Häkkinen now, as I went down the inside of Jack Villeneuve. Pretty simple move, and I need to just stay in the race because I feel like I could just gain so many points over my teammate and the Ferraris that it's worth staying in the race driving with this horribly broken car. We're behind the arrows of Pedro de Rosa and Marc Genet in the Minardi, and we're going to try and have a look, are we, into the end of the first sector? No, we're not. Maybe have a look into the hairpin. We're going down the inside of the hairpin, and we've made the move into the hairpin, so that's a pretty good move there. But we're now looking at Marc Genet, the guy who got second place last year around this track. He's currently doing a really good job in 4th place, but we're going to slipstream it down the tunnel. Are we going to take him in the tunnel? No, we're not. We're going to back off just so we don't make contact with him. But we're going to go down the inside at the end of the tunnel, and we've made it. And that's a pretty decent move. And we're up into 4th place. Now, it took a very, very long time, a surprisingly long time, to catch up to Jean Alesi in the Sauber, which we went straight down the inside. It's a pretty easy move in the end. But that's lap 16 it took us to catch him up. Now, that really surprised me, because I thought that I'd be 4 seconds faster than the Prost. And I was really worrying about the Jaguar's pace up front. But it took until lap 25 to catch Giancarlo Fisichella as we tried round the outside at the last corner, but he then pits. So that's his final pit stop, and I realised that I've only got 11 laps left. I'm going to have to make a pit stop right at the end, and Eddie Irvine's currently 20 seconds ahead of me, and I realised that of course he's got another pit stop remaining, but I'm certainly not certain of winning this Grand Prix to any extent, as it looks like Eddie Irvine has pitted this lap and we're going up into the lead, but he had something like a 15-second lead that I need to try and just close down. There's only 8 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. I think it's going to be really close as to whether I can win this or not. Eddie Irvine's pulling off an amazing drive, but you can see that after the pit stop I managed to actually extend the lead to 17.7 seconds. So that's a pretty big lead, but we're coming in for our pit stop now on lap 35, and it's just going to be a splash and dash, and we need to try and catch up Eddie Irvine because he is going to pass us while we're in the pit lane. But change of tyres, a little bit of fuel put in. Let's see how long the pit stop is from McLaren. It's an 8-second pit stop, so that's pretty decent. But moving along the pit lane now, you see Eddie Irvine at the time counting down in the top left, and he's going to pass us, I think. And he has, and Eddie Irvine is up into the lead with 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix. No, 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. And we need to try and catch him up. He's only 3 seconds ahead, but we need to be careful in these last few laps and not crash the car. But it was at this point, on lap 37, I realised I've only got 2 laps of fuel with 3 laps remaining. So that's a big error I've made in terms of my fuel judgment. And I'm now starting to really do a lot of short shifts and not using any revs. So this might be really difficult to pass Eddie Irvine, but maybe we'll get him at the end of the tunnel. But you can see here on acceleration, I'm just shifting up without any of the lights popping up, hoping that I can save some fuel, because this is a real dilemma, because I could pit and come out ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella, but then there's no chance of victory, so I may as well try. But looking at the end of the lap, we're trying to go around the outside at Raskas, but still nothing to be done. And you can see how much speed I'm losing on the straight here. You know, just shifting up really early because I'm trying to save as much fuel as possible. So I realise that I am really marginal. We're going on to lap 38. I'm pretty close to the end of the first sector. So are we going to look at a move into the hairpin, not down the inside, maybe around the outside? We're going to try around the outside of Eddie Irvine for the lead in the Monaco Grand Prix. We're now going to go down the inside into the next right-hander, and we have taken Eddie Irvine. So that's a pretty good move there, I have to say. And we've gone past Eddie Irvine, but with this short shifting, he's actually going to come back at us in the tunnel. The time is certainly ticking down. I don't know whether he'll dive and move, but we've only got 1 lap of fuel left, and we've got 1.5 laps to go. We went down the inside, and that was a pretty cut the corner there. But it looks like Eddie Irvine might have crashed. There's a yellow flag out, and the time is just ticking up. So it looks like Eddie Irvine has crashed the car. But we're now going to take a look at a replay of the move. And you can see down into the hairpin that I saw an area down the outside, went straight down the outside, nailed the acceleration, and then got him into the right-hander. That was a really good move for the lead and really good racing from Eddie Irvine there. But then in the chicane, he just, I don't know what happened here, he just kind of misjudged it and just hit the car round like Mika Hakkinen did, but he had a spin this time and then just drove into the wall. So that's cost him 2nd place, and Giancarlo Fisichella moves in 8th place, which I'm sure Fizzy Fan 91 will like. But going round the final corner, we're on 0 laps of fuel and we're just about getting it round. But we're going to take another victory in our career, our 3rd victory, and back-to-back victories in the 2000 season. What a win!
unbelievable Monaco Grand Prix. Here are the final results. The McLaren driver first. Fisichella second. Eddie Irvine third. Jean Alesi fourth. Heinz-Harald Frentzen fifth. Genet sixth.
Yep, so you can see the results there. We have gained a bucket load of points over our rivals, which are the Ferraris and Mika Häkkinen, obviously. But there were only a few finishes in this race, which is a lot better than we did last season. But Marc Genet crucially scores a point for Minardi, which will put them ahead of Arrows in the Constructors. So that's a really crucial point in terms of that. He's a master of Monaco, as we'll now look at the driver's standings.
With the results confirmed, it's high time we updated the Drivers' Championship. Häkkinen first.
Yep, so we have caught up a lot and we're now equal with Michael Schumacher, and we're actually ahead of him because we've got more victories. But Mika Häkkinen is only 10 points away from us. He was 29 points or 26 points ahead when we had all those DNFs, so we're really closing down the gap and we're aiming for the World Championship, and it seems like we're finally back on track.
McLaren moved further ahead at the top of the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari are second, followed by the third-placed Williams.
Yep, so with that race, of course, McLaren scored 10 more points than Ferrari, which is crucial, and Benetton scored a lot of points, but most crucially, Minardi scored a point, which puts them ahead of Arrows and equal with BAR. But that has been it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please can we hit 40 likes on this one? I'd really like that. But I will see you next time. Bye-bye.